is history. If you see, every country has had a long historical basis in their own country and their relationships with us in India. That history brings in a great sense of comfort, great sense of respect, and great sense of trust that we know what can happen, because in 50, 60 years ago or 20 years ago, these things happened and there is a history to fall back on. I think that's one of the things that we in India also have amongst ourselves, is we know we have a great history. And if you see from Ethiopia, we learned the history of the culture and the coffee, and then you kind of realize how that becomes so very important as a part of their internal cultural strength. Out of the history comes people and people relationships. Every person that we've heard over here on the stage have talked about the strength and the relationships of that strength to be transferred across the countries and across each other in that sense, and within their own markets as well. Education, enhancing the value, enhancing the strength of developing those kind of knowledge base, and extending the knowledge through newer and newer research, newer and newer applications, newer and newer opportunities that are coming in that sense, is what we see and we learn from all the talks and presentations that we have. That creates a certain amount of attitude, and that attitude becomes very important. I mean, we heard people come and say, so what if there's some difficulty? We'll figure it out. We'll find a solution. The positivity, the positivism, and the ability to also identify that if this goes wrong, fine. We can find a solution. We can find an opportunity out of that. That creates, and I want to borrow a word that you said, interoperability. How do you work together in finding those kind of solutions and helping each other to achieve a goal? The issue that we all face out of all of that is each country wants to export, even India wants to export. Each country wants to develop their own GDP growth in their own country, so does India. So it looks like there could be a contrarian structure out of that, but that's not true. I think we've had many examples in which, for example, from Thuringia, we got an example about using India as a base for developing technology and R&D, because India, after all, is a very easy place to explore and develop new technologies. Any technology developed anywhere in the world would probably cost around 10 times more than what it would cost to develop in India. And if it is successful in India with the diversity of markets that we have and people that we have, you'll be probably more successful in anywhere in the world. And if it fails, the cost of failure is so much lower. So you have an economic advantage of bringing in the development aspects into India and take on the opportunities not just in India, because India does offer a massive market as well, but take that into other parts of the world. Africa is a very, very great base for us to take these technologies and develop them into not just India, but the other parts of the world. So those opportunity explorations, combination between the other parts of the world and in India, play a phenomenal role and gives growth opportunities for both the partners. And that's what it is. That both the partner concept of being, again using a word of interoperability, creates a sustenance. If I'm looking at things only for myself and the other person is looking only for him or herself, that's not going to be sustainable on a long-term basis. But if it's going to help both, there's a greater chance for it to be effective and successful for a longer period. And that's what we've learned in in all the talks that we've had over here. There are new opportunities, a new frame of references which are coming in. There is a changing environment, there's a changing environment which is going on. The climate change is one of the elements which are there. The trade structures and the trade balances which are there are also changing. There's a lot more people travel. There's a lot more people interaction which is going on right now. I mean, if you go back 50 years from now, the number of people who are traveling across the world was so much lower than what we have today. Airline, we've been talking about the airlines flying a larger number of aircrafts across and larger size aircrafts from all over the world. There are flip side to that also, like the coronavirus. It transfers across the world at such a high speed. But look at it from a different point of view. It also gives us an indication that if something is successful in one part of the world, it can transfer and transport itself from one place to the other in such a short time that your scalability and your sustainability, whatever you do, could beat even the coronavirus transformation, as what I would look at. So what do we get in all of this, and how do we move forward in all of that? And I think this is something which would be applicable for all of us. There are 3 steps. Darshan, I'm using Hindi words out of that. Observation. Gyan, which is knowledge. Learning from that observation. And charitra, or implementation. In that order, you observe, you get knowledge, analysis and knowledge, and then you implement. If we follow this path, anything in this world, anything over here is going to be successful. Thank you so much. Thank you.